When we talk about sustainability, we have to start with an honest question. What exactly are we sustaining, and for whom? This podcast is for people who know the climate crisis is not a lifestyle problem, but a structural one. I'm Leticia, host of this podcast and founder of Renovant, and together, we're going to look at sustainability through a dual lens: the institutional systems that move money, power, and technology, and the ancestral wisdom that asks how those systems care for land, water, and people across generations. You won't hear tips about reusable cups here. Instead, we will talk about infrastructure, capital, governance, and technology as living parts of our ecological story. Power grids and data centers, ports and supply chains, regulations, and artificial intelligence systems that quietly decide who benefits and who is left out. When you hear me talk about the hard geometry or the structural math, I mean the way roads, grids, contracts, and algorithms are designed to channel resources in specific directions, and how that design can either lock in harm for a century or open space for regeneration. That is the level where real sustainability lives. If you're a leader, consultant, or change maker trying to make ethical climate decisions inside complex systems, this podcast is an invitation. Together, we will slow down, look at the numbers and the narratives, and learn how to shift infrastructure, capital, and governance toward futures that are actually livable. You're listening to Renovant Beyond Compliance Toward Regeneration, a podcast for people who know the climate crisis is a structural problem, not a lifestyle issue. I'm Leticia Macias, your host and founder of Renovant. Renovant LLC is a United States based boutique consultancy. We specialize in lead and sustainability project management, regenerative ESG, and indigenous digital governance. We built this firm because too many frameworks fail at the moment of truth. We work at the convergence of indigenous ethics, regenerative technology, and climate infrastructure, where artificial intelligence has to learn to speak ancestral wisdom, and where capital flows are governed by relational accountability. We are a small team with a global reach, obsessed with getting these decisions right. We are here for the decisions that protect generations, not merely for compliance, but for conscience. Too many people say sustainability without pausing to ask, what or who are we actually sustaining? Western frameworks tend to chase efficiency. Land-based wisdom asks for reciprocity. On this podcast, we use what I call double eyes. We look at every issue through institutional lenses and through indigenous non-Western realities. Who benefits and who doesn't? What does accountability really require when infrastructure can lock in harm or possibly for generations, especially across the global south? Those are the questions we sit with here. In each episode, you will hear us get specific about sustainability, what it truly means, and what that word sometimes hides. We will talk about reciprocity, not just as a philosophy, but as something that can show up in ESG metrics and real projects. We will look at artificial intelligence as kind of invisible governance system that is already reshaping forest, energy, and capital. The goal is decision clarity. When resources are thin, but the stakes are generational. No fluff, no guilt trips, just the frameworks and questions you need so you can build in ways you won't regret later. Before we talk about working together, there are a few questions this podcast will keep asking you. Are you clear on what and who your sustainability work is actually sustaining? How are your infrastructures, capital flows, and technologies shaping land, water, and people over the next 50 to 100 years? Where are you still relying on performative efforts, reports, or slogans instead of changing the structures themselves? Listen closely. If this question makes you uncomfortable, and also make you see the real long term cost of doing nothing in your organization, that's your signal. We work with people who understand that moving beyond performative sustainability is no longer optional, it's an operational necessity. Our work is decision clarity, aligning infrastructure, capital, and technology with genuine generational value. We don't take on clients who want an easy answer. We partner with leaders who are ready to rebuild their vision. Renovant exists for the moment when checking the box is no longer acceptable, and someone in the room says, "We need to get this right." This isn't a plea to keep tweaking the old system or a threat about what might fall apart. It's an invitation from the place where some structures have already failed, and only what is real remains. The patterns you sustain and the frameworks you trust are yours to measure. From that space, one question remains: what will you choose to truly sustain? In the first episodes, we will ask: what are we actually sustaining? How does reciprocity become real infrastructure? Where is artificial intelligence hidden hand in climate and capital? If you're looking for lifestyle tips, this podcast is probably not for you. This is infrastructure, capital, and governance. This is Renovant, beyond compliance toward regeneration. Now, what are you going to build? If you don't want to navigate this alone, you don't have to. Subscribe to Renovant, beyond compliance toward regeneration. Leave a review so others can find these conversations and share this episode with a colleague or a friend on the same path. We'll be back with more questions, more structure, and more ways to move from performative sustainability toward real regeneration. Until next time, ask yourself: what are you truly sustaining? And what are you ready to rebuild?